Well, alright then. Coming at you, room 303, this is Noah. About 93 miles away, it's Josh. And, it's been a while, and we suck at this, but here we are again for some reason.
It's tough. Can be.
Shouldn't be. It's pretty easy.
It
Just
could
gotta
have been
dedicate,
easy.
like,
Yeah.
dedicate like 1 hour to it, and then we're done.
Well, I saw you in person and,
Really threw everything off.
it did. Because I think we were planning on recording one of those 2 days, and then you were in person. I was like, well, I'll take this, but no recording
You know,
this
just,
week.
just didn't pan out.
Just didn't pan out.
Anyway, Josh, what are we talking about today?
We're going over some apocalypse scenarios.
End of the world or end of civilization?
I'm going to go with end of civilization.
Okay.
Humans could have made it through some of these, I guess. Hold on.
There he is.
What's up?
It's on the phone, sir?
No, I'm talking to Noah.
What's that?
We're talking.
Yeah, but what are you looking at?
We're talking about apocalypse scenarios.
But that's a computer.
This is a computer.
How are you talking on a computer? Talking or
we're,
you're
on
typing?
we're on a phone call.
On a
We're
computer.
not on a phone call. You're
What's that thing
talking
on
to a
top?
fucking
Is that like an
computer.
antenna?
It's a microphone because we're talking.
Oh.
Alright. You good? Alright. Well, shit.
What?
just a nice intermission, you know?
Ruin the whole flow. We gotta start completely over.
Probably did. Wouldn't lie. Well,
If your mic caught any of him talking when I listen to this again, it's staying in.
I'm fine with that. I think it caught just little breaks from it. I can't tell for sure, though, but we'll
If not, it's one half of a conversation, and I'm fine with that.
see. What's that thing on top? Or it's a microphone. How you talking on the computer? Oh my god.
Anyway, Josh, so how do you think the world's gonna end?
Like my most likely one, or like how I'd
Yeah,
prefer it to end?
you personally, how do you think civilization collapses?
Gonna take the lame way. I think it's gonna be climate change.
Climate change. I feel like that's like the most likely one, at the
Right.
very least. But it's kind of the lamest.
It is certainly the lamest. I don't think I even wrote it down because like it's so obvious that it's an apocalypse scenario, but it's not a fun one.
So it's basically, this is how the world's going to end, but these are all the other options that it could end.
Yeah, and I think with climate change, it kind of leaves you like a no survivors type scenario too, which takes away all the fun of the apocalypse, in my opinion.
I feel like a lot of people would survive through climate change because it's going to be so gradual that maybe enough people will like acclimate to it or figure it out, or maybe science will get super good, or maybe we'll just leave the earth.
Those are all possible, but on the current trajectory, and let's just assume for the sake of the example that nothing changes drastically and the world gets too hot for humans to live on, everyone's gone.
I think the real kicker is that honeybee is just going to disappear, and that's really why civilization's going to collapse.
That's a contributing factor, if not the main factor.
Yeah, if you get rid of all the pollinators, we're screwed.
Ain't you seen Bee Movie?
Yes, but, only once.
I don't think I've watched it in 10 years, but that's okay. I don't know if you count the every time they say bee, it goes 10 times faster or something. I watched that, so I guess that's a watch Bee Movie.
Definitely doesn't count, but sure.
They play the whole movie, just it's in a minute.
Yeah, but like 30 times the speed.
Yeah, it doesn't count, but I technically saw all the pictures.
You couldn't process them all at that pace, though.
No, no chance. So I think we're on the same
Anyway.
playing field with climate change being the likely one.
That's the likely one. It's not my preferred one at all.
No. What's your preferred one?
You know, I could just. I'm going to tell you my preferred one towards the end, but like.
Okay,
The
I'll
one I
ask
could
this. I'll ask this. What makes an apocalypse a good one? What defines a good apocalypse? By
I
your
don't know if
standard.
there. I don't know if there's such a good thing as a
Preferred,
good
how about that?
apocalypse.
Preferred
My
apocalypse.
preferred.
But like traits
I
of a
don't.
preferred.
I'll tell you how I like stupidly think that it will end when we get to the end of this, but how I want it to end right now, zombie apocalypse. But like, it's so unlikely. But you know, that's just where I think I would thrive. I think I'd be okay.
You'd be okay. I think I would be. I think I'd be okay, but I would be kind of struggling a little bit more than you.
Like, I just need civilization to collapse in some horrible way because I think I'd just be so much better off. There'd be so much less stress in my life.
Oh yeah, we've been talking about this for years. This exact topic.
Yeah,
It needs to end.
and it needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon.
It's no one's fault. It just needs to end.
Yeah, and I mean like, I guess it doesn't have to be a zombie apocalypse. That'd be great, but
It
I
kind of
guess if
leaves a
it was
little
just
wild card factor after the
yeah,
initial.
there's just like there's a constant challenge that and it's a physical threat. It's not like a disease or like some other something.
Right.
Like I don't think I would want the world to end like alien invasion style because
No
if they're
chance.
coming to if they're coming to take us over, I don't stand a chance because their technology is just so fucking good.
There's a point where like survival instincts and like skills just kind of go out the window, and that happens in alien apocalypses.
Yeah, it's like they're clearly more intelligent than we are if they made it this far, or maybe it was just by happenstance.
It's probably a luck factor at that point, though. Like right place, right time.
Maybe it is, you know, maybe they're just drifting through. They found a way to live on their spacecraft for forever. They saw us just hanging out and they're like, "Hey, let's go say hello."
And then like, what's the end game if they take over the planet and like, say you do survive, you're one of like maybe 2 million people left on the planet. What's the end goal here? You can't really. You're not gonna see civilization rebuilt within your lifetime. Everything's destroyed. Probably the people you like and love are dead.
Yeah, you're one of the first to go, I'm sure of it. But what I think about that is like, you know, you fight the good fight, you do what you can, but you know, one generation's not gonna make the difference, so it's just kind of take out what you can, fuck some shit up, and then
Right.
hopefully somebody builds on that.
There's no end goal for for that generation.
No, there's all set the playing field, figure it out, get as much information about them as you can, and then take them out systematically.
Yeah, and we're not. There's no point for us to like recover from that, and it's not gonna happen in that short of time. So
You know, but if it is a zombie apocalypse and no aliens show up, that would just be so much more preferred because that's an easy adversary. That's something you can handle.
yeah, it's something you understand pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah,
And there
except
is
for all
an
the
end goal.
movies.
Yeah, but it kind of is a mystery factor in there too, where you don't know like why this started, what the effects are, how worldwide spread it is. Like, I think that would just keep me going every day. Is
I
not
don't
knowing
think I would
stuff.
care. I don't think I would care to find out at all.
I
I'm
probably
just
wouldn't
glad it
care.
happened.
I probably wouldn't care once I'm in the throes of it, but I'd like to know how the rest of the world's doing.
Fuck them. I got me and just me. I don't need no big survivor group. I'm gonna go hang out in the woods and get killed by a bear.
Oh no, Survivor group's not the way to go unless it's like people you know really well from before.
Even if it's people you know,
I still want to
somebody's gonna
group more
break
than like
down.
more than like 5 people
I'm
max.
thinking 2 or 3 max, but I just don't think I want it. I think I want to get out of Dodge.
Get out of
I've been
Dodge.
waiting. I've been waiting for this collapse forever. I've been thinking about running away for the past several weeks. It would just be great.
Lansing's really doing it to you.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about just hitchhiking the other day. Saw a train coming by, and I was like, I could hop on. It's not going that fast. Then I realized it was going east. And I'm like, I don't want to go to Detroit.
No options east.
No. If it was
West,
heading west,
West, you hit Chicago. You're set. You can go anywhere.
it's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, if I can just make it to Chicago, easy game.
Oh yeah. Nothing north.
Nah.
I don't think
What's your
trains
preferred
even-
way?
My preferred way?
Yeah.
Uh, I don't want to try to agree with that, but I think zombies just it's too good.
What do you mean it's all too good?
It's too good. It's perfect. We've covered all the grounds that make it perfect. There's kind of like a challenge, like you said, a challenge every day to overcome, and there's like progress to be made by a single person that can keep you going every day. Like these other ones, for instance, like an asteroid wipes out 90% of the population. You know, it's the same thing with the aliens. What are you building towards? It's not going to matter in your lifetime.
Like, it won't matter in your lifetime, but you gotta lay the groundwork.
You gotta lay the groundwork, but like with zombies, you can kind of, I don't know, every day is the challenge, you know?
I feel like every day is gonna be a challenge with the asteroid thing, too, because,
But it's a different
you know,
challenge. It's a peaceful challenge. You're not gonna get, there's no health hazards out there besides what's apparent to everybody. There's no surprises around the corner.
there could be. You don't know what survived.
With
You
the
don't know.
asteroids we're aware of, like, with the properties that we know about.
See, what happens with an asteroid, I think, is like impact, fucks shit up, changes the climate, you got clouds everywhere, blot out the sun, it's super cold, everything changes. And that changes migration patterns. So a bunch of shit's where it's not supposed to be. Whatever survived is fucking shit up.
Right.
So like you got to go out and deal with that now. That's a whole new thing. You got to deal with the cold too.
And do you know, I don't know, but do you know how many years it takes for like the climate to kind of normalize and the clouds go away and temperatures kind of
Couple
return?
thousand years probably.
It's thousands of years, okay.
I couldn't say for sure, but I'm sure it takes a couple thousand years.
Well, I guess there was an ice age after the last one, so
Really fuck shit up, man.
really fuck shit up. We'll have more mammoths running around.
Extinct, but yeah.
But yeah, asteroids, lame. Moving on.
I don't know, man. Armageddon made it seem so cool. Just send up 12 Americans.
Was that the Morgan
Drill
Freeman
miner.
one?
No.
No, that's Deep Impact. Okay.
Armageddon was the Bruce Willis one.
Yeah. I didn't care for that one.
Well, all-star cast.
It was an all-star cast. I think Steve Buscemi was in it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd peg him as one of the all-stars, but he was in it.
First name that came to mind outside Bruce Willis.
Okay.
I don't know. Deep Impact was just always... They were like released at like the same time. I actually want to know how close they were.
Well, clearly they knew something that we didn't. Maybe they got the edge. They were like, hey, yo, NASA, any asteroids ever hit us? And they were like, holy fuck, yes, they have. Let me tell you a story.
These movies were released in the same year? Oh, no.
Conspiracy.
Whose idea was this?
Somebody who really wanted to confuse people, or something to that effect.
Not a fan. I think those movies would be so much higher regarded if they were released like 10 years apart. I guess one would be so obviously better, though.
You know, I feel like there's a lot of different type of scenarios that like kind of bring you to the same place that an asteroid impact would. Because you had like super volcano erupts,
Uh-huh.
and then it's basically the same thing. You go into a winter because there's ash and dust and water vapor everywhere, blocking out the sun, everything's cold, everything changes. And then
Yes.
you got
Same thing with like solar flares and gamma ray
solar
bursts.
flares, volcanic winters, all that shit. Near-Earth supernovas fucks up the same shit.
Yeah. I think I'd put a nuclear fallout in like the same category, but I think that's the best one out of all those.
What? Nuclear fallout being the one that's the best?
The
among
best
those?
is it stands out and it's different from those other ones because then you have some, it's like on hard difficulty compared to these medium difficulties.
Yep, you're just walking through, you got your HUD on, suddenly one of those little radiation symbols pops up in the right corner and you start dying. You gotta turn back, you can't go into that area. It's off limits.
Gotta recharge the life support.
Yeah, gotta go find yourself a hazmat suit, hope it's good quality, and go for broke.
You don't know what the animals are gonna be like after that. start getting into some video game type stuff, but we don't really know what would happen after a nuclear fallout. We
I
get
think
the
we have a
weather
very
changes.
good idea what would happen.
Okay, I mean, I'm thinking of
There's been
like
quite the amount of speculation on this, but sure.
we don't know for sure what would happen. Like we don't know if animals would mutate and survive because of it, or if they would just all die from the sudden injection of radiation.
I mean, they'll mutate, but it won't be for the best. They'll have like 4 eyes, and 2 of them don't work, and
Right.
6 paws.
Be like the fish found around Fermi. They have like
Just go check out Chernobyl, that area, all the birth
Yeah.
defects that are happening there. That's basically what it is.
what's the thing
But
with
with a
the
much
what's the thing with the
greater area.
worms from Chernobyl? They check the worms every year, don't they?
I have no idea. What I do know is that they planted hemp and marijuana around the area to sap up all the radiation and the dirt and stuff.
What a grand
that would be-
idea.
That'd be quite the high.
Oh, here's what happened with the worms. Worms contaminated by radioactivity from the Chernobyl accident have started having sex with each other instead of their own. Thought it was a bigger bigger picture.
What do you mean by sex with each other and not their own? Isn't that the same thing?
Are worms asexual?
I don't think so.
The sex life of worms reveals Chernobyl effect. Thank you, article. This apparently increases their chances of survival. Why else do animals do things? I
These
don't,
worms
I don't want
have
to take up more time.
anything to do with an apocalypse.
I don't know. We got some mutant worms here. I don't really buy that. It just kind of looks like a big root. Those are massive, though. I don't buy that.
I don't think it's relevant to this right now, but
What I was thinking of is like, for some reason, and maybe it was like a documentary or a history book or something. It was just a picture of the scientists holding the worms, and they was talking about how they like check the worms in Chernobyl, and I forget why. I thought it was like maybe they give the most accurate reading of the radiation levels with a living creature, at least. I don't know. I'm lost now, so I'm just gonna give up on the worms.
I think you probably should have given up on the worms a couple minutes ago.
Probably.
So we've gone through a couple, like, natural ways that the world could end. Let's start talking about some, like, artificial intelligence.
Okay, I'm into that.
Because I think robots and shit, all those movies about them taking over, don't think that's something that we can handle.
I don't either, but I don't think we'll see it to that level in our lifetime to where it's even like a question of if they could take us over.
I don't know, man. Science, like, that shit goes up exponentially.
It does, and
Because-
it's improved a lot since we've been alive, but I don't know. I don't think
it's gonna keep doing it, and there's already, like, minor AI stuff going on. Someday, someone's gonna perfect a robot that can walk, hold a gun, do all sorts of shit, fuck up the infrastructure, get into the web, mine a bunch of data from the Pentagon, get all the nuclear codes. It's gonna fuck shit up.
So do you think that this kind of shift in AI is going to come from a single event, like a single inventor that makes something like that? Or do you think it could be a gradual thing? What's more likely?
It's definitely gonna be gradual. Like, no one's gonna just make one that's gonna become so self-aware or whatever that it decides that it wants to destroy the world.
I think I'd prefer that one, though. Maybe not the destroy the world part, but like a single event. Because then we
There's
got
a
like a
word for
race.
that.
We got a race from different governments trying to recreate it. Say it's like a terrorist that makes it.
Well, I feel like that'll create so much fear of the singularity, I think they call it, that the AI is going to take over the world. I think there's going to be so much fear from that as soon as somebody does figure it out, government's going to shut that shit down.
Yeah. Gotta keep on it though. I
like-
love watching the videos of the people that like hit the robots with baseball bats and they like try to stand back up and stuff and they do voiceovers of it. It's simple entertainment, but I enjoy it.
Sure. Very apocalypse-esque, hitting robots with baseball bats.
Have you seen some of the combat ones?
No.
Like they'll just start throwing guns at it and it keeps like just catching all of them in the right spot with the hand on the trigger and they just like take it apart in their hands. It's crazy. Those scare me a little bit when it comes to how far along
I'm
they
telling
are.
you, man, if they combine that with, like, a technical AI brain, suddenly we got a problem.
Could have some issues. I'm not as worried about that one. And if it does happen, can we really do anything besides like the higher ups in the world?
I mean,
can the
if they're
common
all
man do
connected, if they're all connected to a grid or some sort of Wi-Fi signal, maybe they're hooking up to Bluetooth or something. I think we could all do something. We could fuck them up.
Maybe like anyone can input the. This is very movie-fied, of course, but input the code to shut it all down from
I
their
don't know
like,
about
home
anyone,
computer.
but
Or, like, anyone
somebody
with a
out
home
there has
computer
probably got a
could
kill
do-
switch.
Yeah,
But, that's the thing. As soon as the AI figures out that there's a kill switch, they gotta go for the kill switch and make sure that nobody can use the kill switch.
shut it down.
Yeah. That's the danger of artificial intelligence. They become self-aware. They have all the knowledge. They have the internet. They can just download all the data they need and then figure out how to get rid of us.
They're gonna download YouTube, have profiling on all the users. Know what we might be in trouble. We've got hours of our own opinions and conversations.
I don't think we're the first ones they're going to.
No, but if they download like YouTube into their intelligence, then they have all the information on everybody in an instant.
I think that they won't even consider what we're saying intelligent, and they'll just pass it right by.
They'll add it to our profile.
No, they're not going to have a profile for 7 billion people, almost 8 billion people.
Why couldn't they? It's
They
AI.
don't- It's AI, but they only have so much data they can use.
They get all of it though.
But they can't store all of it. Sure, they can download all of it. They can like search through it. They can sift through it, but they're not going to find us important.
Maybe they can downsize data to the point where they can store it all in each and every one of them.
As soon as you condense it, you can't access it until you open it again and make it bigger.
Under current circumstances, you can't do that.
But like, it's going to work in the same way at a bigger rate, sure. But they can't possibly download that much data.
Perhaps, but you gotta think big, Noah.
I can't wait until AI becomes a thing, and then they start getting mental illnesses and stuff, like depression.
What's your take on the people that like want to download themselves to a computer, download their consciousness? I don't know how it works, but
Nobody knows how it works because it doesn't work yet. But those people, if they've got the money, if they want to put their thoughts out there, good for them. They can do it already. They just gotta like talk.
I watched a video about that, and the guy was like looking way far in the future, and he's talking about how like AI rights and stuff like that, computer people rights, like added a whole new spectrum of like social laws and everything. What about voting for AIs? Can you not run for office if you're a computer?
Well, it really depends on your definition of life. Like,
Right.
would you consider them a citizen? Probably not. They're more like a dog. They're probably just considered property.
Right, there's this big whole thing that goes though. It's bringing up some old slavery rules, I guess.
I don't really think that's a slavery rule.
Like their
'Cause-
property. Do you think that maybe they'd count
I
as like
understood what you were saying,
Yeah,
but I
okay.
don't think that's going to apply.
like do they count as a full vote?
No. They're
They
not.
shouldn't.
I just told you they're property. Doesn't count. They won't come into the population because they're not a living thing.
They shouldn't, but who knows? I wrote down 2012 as another apocalypse situation. That's more of like just a random global collapse. It's not really like
You
a
see,
single.
but like nobody knew what was going to happen at 2012. Nothing did happen, of course, but nobody knew what was supposed to happen. The calendar just ended.
How did we not see that one coming? Like with the, I don't know a lot about it, but when like 2000 rolled over, everyone thought the world was gonna end because the computers didn't go to 2000, just because the calendar ended on the computer.
I know what you're saying, but I don't.
I just
I
think
don't
it's
know what your
dumb.
point is.
Like, how did we not see it? That's stupid. The same thing with 2012. Just because the calendar ends doesn't mean the world's over.
A lot of people didn't think it was stupid, but then a lot of people did think it was stupid.
A lot of people thought it was stupid on December 22nd, 2012.
Yeah, and it was because nothing happened.
Right. I waited years for that. More out of curiosity than a longing for the world to end. But
Well, nothing happened, so your curiosity was wasted.
did you like that movie?
That movie sucked.
Okay. There's like, as a kid, it was kind of cool to see like the action scenes because I think that was one of the first action movies I watched. But like, it's so bad watching it. I think I watched it in 2016. It's so bad.
Another modern problem that we face, overpopulation.
Yeah, I wrote
I
down
don't
Wall-E.
think. Okay. Uh, I don't think that's how that's gonna pan out, but yeah, I guess that works. I don't think that really had much to do with overpopulation. That just had to do with lots of pollution.
Maybe the overpopulation was the cause of the overpollution, but I guess we don't really know enough from that. With
No, I
overpopulation,
don't.
though, I think it's something that'll just kind of figure itself out because it's more of a explanation by science to say that the population stabilizes once there's like too many. Like hopefully people understand
Yes,
that it's time to stop, or we just die from it, so we won't be able to
everyone's going to
sustain.
refuse to stop because it's a political problem that they don't want to deal with, like climate change.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to deal with it. But like you said, overpopulation is probably just gonna hit its peak. Environment can't sustain it anymore. People start dying. Starvation kicks in, and then we drop back down to a rate that makes sense.
yeah, and then it's solved. The world will be largely unchanged.
Mostly, yeah. There'll probably be a lot of restrictions put into place once we hit that peak and we're like mass crisis that everyone's freaking the fuck out.
Another thing we won't see in our lifetime, probably.
I don't know. It's been going up pretty fucking quick
It's going
ever
up
since
quick,
that
but
goddamn industrial revolution. Exponential.
it's going up quick, but I don't think it'll be a problem. Like I think people will just find ways to make it work. I mean, do you know how many like vast expanses there are in the world? Some unlivable, but
Do you know how many vast expanses there are in the world? Because I'm not sure what you mean by that.
just a lot of open areas that like you just shove people if need be.
Gotta build that infrastructure.
Gotta build the
Ain't got enough.
infrastructure.
Ain't got enough trades workers anymore. Nobody's gonna do it. Got them committed elsewhere.
It'll figure itself out. You ever read into the planets align scenario?
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit.
It is a bunch of bullshit. I hate it. They'll put it in like TV shows and movies as like a catalyst for a plot, and it just doesn't work.
Tell
Doesn't
me why
make
you hate it.
sense. I hate it because
Pra-
just what?
Practically, why do you hate it? Not for the movie fiction stuff.
It's dumb. Bunch of space rocks millions of miles apart just happen to line up. I feel like that's. I mean, it's not impossible because it'll eventually happen just based at the rates they move, but nothing will happen because they're so far apart that they're so independent of each other. It shouldn't matter that the world would end because of it. Maybe there's some like lunar changes like with the tides and things, but not to the point that the world ends.
I don't know, man. All that gravity, just everything's connected. It's gonna really fuck some shit up.
The thing I read is that it like throws off the balance of the solar system's gravity because all the objects are on one side, but I don't think it'll matter much. In my, professional opinion. Means very much to whoever's listening.
Nobody.
No.
Us. Me at least 3 times later, but yeah.
You have any like weird ones besides your preferred one? I think you said it was the odd one.
It is an odd one, but we'll get there.
Okay,
I don't really have any odd ones.
I didn't either. I think we've
'Cause,
normalized all the apocalypse scenarios within society, so none of them like seem weird.
we definitely haven't normalized all of them. I mean, Westboro Baptist, not Westboro Baptist, Heaven's Gate, same kind of crazy, but Heaven's Gate all killed themselves for some reason,
I think I just read about
thinking
this like last week. It was they changed their doctrine so many times that like one of the original founding members like died from cancer. So like the original doctrine was that you live your whole life to get to, you know, whatever their final destination was out of the religion, but the goal would be to like do actions in your life to get there, like a normal religion, I guess. And then like the one of the founding members died from cancer, and then they were like, "Oh, we must rewrite that. It's when you die. That's how it works." And then they said, "Okay, suicide's the way."
Well, I know a lot of them like thought the world was going to end, and they wanted to get into heaven first. But at the
Yeah.
same time, these are the people that thought they were going to be abducted by aliens, and they bought alien abduction insurance. So
Yeah, they
it's,
did.
it's an interesting kind of crazy.
Who's the company that took advantage of that?
I texted this to you before. I don't remember the name of the company, though.
I think it was like a leading one. I think there are other companies that did offer it at the time. It was like Geico, I think, offered it for a little bit. No one offers
No, it
it
wasn't.
now.
It wasn't any of the big companies at all.
Wasn't a big one, okay.
No.
I'm trying to find the date that they said it would end because it hasn't happened yet. We haven't got to the date yet.
I'm sure they got to the date and then they changed the date.
I think they never changed the date that they said it would end, but it hasn't. We haven't got there yet. They died on the March 26, 1997, but that's not the day that they said. I think we're like 5 years away. I haven't looked at it. Google didn't help. Got any more? I think all I had was like disease, and we've covered volcano and like solar flares. They're all kind of the same.
Mutually assured destruction. Something.
Like in like Terminator, kind of?
What? No. Mutually assured destruction. I fire a nuke at you, you fire one at me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, I guess the AI did it for them, but yeah, I get you.
But, becoming more realistic, Doomsday Clock hits pretty close to midnight quite often. These days, just because we have nuclear weapons now. Ever since the 60s, you know, nuclear missile crisis, Cuban Missile Crisis, what have we been, above 11:56 on the Doomsday Clock ever since?
I think so. It got as close as like 3 seconds one time.
Yeah, that was during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Okay, I could remember if it had happened like another time since then.
I'm sure when Trump was doing his shindig with Kim Jong-un, it got pretty close again. Probably in a 11:59 area.
Yeah,
But,
I think I've only heard about it like once in the last like 8 years though. And that was probably it.
Yeah. I feel like I check it every once in a while. It's pretty stable.
It's
5
interesting.
minutes.
It's just like a who thought of that concept.
Yeah. I feel like they need to take into account a lot more things now.
I think they
I
should
don't even know if
change
it's
the
just, like-
scale altogether.
I don't even know if it's like end of civilization or if it's like end of the world or what it is exactly.
I think it's end of world scenario. Maybe not the end of civilization, but certainly like something bad is happening. Something bad has happened that
I
affects
feel
the
like it's
entire world.
probably end of civilization because like nuclear war would definitely kill all of us, but some stuff would survive on Earth.
Right. So yeah, it's pretty much the crumbling of civilization.
Yeah.
The closest it's been recently is January 23rd, 2020. It was 100 seconds to midnight, which is kind of weak comparatively.
What was the cause for that one?
I think it was Trump in North Korea, like you said.
No, that happened a long time ago.
Oh, you're
That was,
thinking
like-
earlier? Let's see.
Yeah, because all their stuff was like 2018, 2017.
Political conflicts regarding nuclear programs in Iran and North Korea remain unresolved, and if anything, are worsening. So yeah, stuff with that combined with climate change. I think it should be on a larger scale, though. Like, I don't think it's ever been before 11:55, right? So like, why do we have the whole clock concept if we're only going to use the last 5 minutes?
Well, I don't know when they figured out this idea exactly. I don't know what the origins of the Doomsday Clock were, but I feel like it hasn't made it past 11:50 ever.
No, and I think it's maintained since 1947. So that's the first year. Too bad it wasn't around for like World War II. Could have had some close calls there. The original setting of the clock was 7 minutes to midnight.
I feel like it probably jumped pretty quick after that.
Yeah. It has been set backward and forward 24 times since then. The largest ever number of minutes to midnight being 17 in 91. Oh, and Trump's thing in 2020 was the closest it's ever been to midnight. So maybe
don't
3
believe that.
minutes is what I was thinking. It says 100 seconds
But
is
anyway.
the closest.
You're telling me that they were 17 minutes away from midnight at the collapse of the Soviet Union?
2 years after, but yeah. The 90s were a chill time. People were bored.
Apparently.
Clock was set at 2 minutes to midnight in 2018 and left unchanged in 2019.
Nothing was happening. Nobody gave a shit.
They don't use this enough for how like highly regarded it is. 24 times in 80 years. Universally recognized metaphor. Not a fan. I'm out on that.
What are you out on?
The Doomsday Clock.
Yo, you don't subscribe to the Doomsday Clock?
I don't subscribe to it. They only moved it 24 times since 1947. It's technically ever changing. I don't like the clock concept. I'm out on it.
You know, the scientists just fall asleep every once in a while, and they wake up and they're like, "Oh shit, we should have put that clock way closer to midnight." But then, like, the time has passed, and they just couldn't do anything about it anymore.
Might as well wait till tomorrow. We'll review. And something good happens, and just leave it.
They just have news alerts for when the world's about to end.
Based on knowing how few times they've changed it and how often the climate of the world changes, I think that they're just like, it must be a hassle to like change the time on it. So they just don't bother with it most of the time.
Then they gotta update people, do a news release, talk to the press. It's just so much.
Sounds like a lot for a crew of like probably 5 guys.
Yeah, those 5 introverted scientists just can't handle any publicity.
Can you apply at the Doomsday Clock headquarters?
Yeah, go see if you can temp there. I want the inside scoop.
I don't even know who runs this thing.
Somebody with too much time, yet not enough time to adjust the clock more than 24 times.
By the members of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. Okay, let's see if we can apply there. Not that I want to, but out of curiosity.
Unpaid.
I'd do that unpaid. They just have to pay for like my housing.
Well, apparently you don't do anything there, so
Right. I don't deserve to be paid.
what's the average on that? Once every 4-ish years,
Yeah.
you get to change the clock.
Open positions at the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists.
All of them.
There are no open
Nobody-
positions.
Damn. I was really hoping like nobody was running that place anymore, and they're just like, we're desperate. Somebody come help us.
They have a staff page, and it only has like, let's see, like 17 people on it, and they all have like their own position and everything. So I'm like, just thinking, why do they have an open position?
They're probably all taking into account like separate world events. They're all specialized, and somebody's got the environment, someone's got politics, somebody's got nuclear weapons.
They look like they're not even very like sciencey people. Like I see a lot of them all have the position as editor, and they're like computer people.
Do they have like a news article that? Is there like a paper or a magazine?
I don't know.
Somebody out there writing pamphlets,
I
sending
think they
them
do
out in
like
the mail.
they must do a newsletter. They're like media sites called the Bulletin. Looks like they just write online articles though.
What would be the content of these articles?
I feel like they
Can't
kind of
find it
ride.
quick. Don't worry about it.
I feel like they ride the Doomsday Clock train as much as they can.
Well, obviously, but like, are they talking about what makes the clock change in these news articles, or are they just talking about the state of the world?
Looks like they do annual reports, and they have this other thing called Save the Time. I don't want to click on that and read about it. It sounds like time consuming. But since Earth Day, they've only had 7 posts, 7 articles, and one of those
Yeah,
was
true.
the annual report. But yeah, like here's some of the positions. Like they got their president and CEO. That's obvious. And then they got like the editor-in-chief, advisor, editor, office, digital officer, editor, multimedia editor, associate editor. That guy looks pretty young. That could be the job we could go for. They give it to the scrubs. Development coordinator. They got a finance lady. Another development director, program coordinator. They got a senior fellow. He's definitely the smart guy. Non-resident senior fellow. The last one on the list is the contributing editor of Energy, Environment, and Climate. She gets her own column. They look boring.
Well, just a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of old white people and one Asian lady.
Diversity. That's what I like to see.
They did not do a good job. Didn't make any quotas there. Affirmative action. Not going to be happy.
Affirmative action had to do with schools.
What am I thinking of? Oh, it's
Civil
still a
Rights
race
Act of
thing to do.
1963.
It still has to do it. Okay, you had me thinking it was like something else at first, and I was like, oh no, I messed up horribly. I still messed up, but it could have been worse.
You messed up, but like you were on the right track with race, I guess.
Yeah, let's get away from that. There's no good. So someone will get offended. Out of all of our viewers, you know.
Our mostly white audience of you and me.
I was looking at our analytics the other day. I think only 33% of our views were from the U.S.
Who the fuck from out of the country is watching us?
I wish it told me what other country was watching, because I feel like it's some bots, YouTube bots in like Pakistan or something. That's half our
You know,
views.
if they're giving us views, I don't mind too much.
Yeah, we're fine with that, but gotta get that watch hours up. I think we're like 1/400th of the way to there. Watch hours. Which is better than I thought we'd be doing. Maybe it's 1/4000th. It's probably more like it. Just put
I
on the
haven't
podcast. I don't care if you're even paying attention. Just put it on in the background. You can even turn it down. Just get us those watch hours.
Nah, don't waste your time, don't waste your data. So universe ending kind of things. Not just the world, but all of it. You got the big crunch or you got the big rip.
Can you
Big
go over the
crunch.
big rip? I remember what the big crunch is. Well, I guess you'll get to both.
I'm gonna go over them both because maybe not everyone knows. Maybe you don't even know. Who could say? Uh, Big crunch is essentially the opposite of the Big Bang. It's like everything that had already previously exploded outward is gonna go straight back into that one big dense ball in the middle of nowhere, and then suddenly everything's really dense, everything's really hot, and nobody's alive anymore.
No getting out.
Big rip is essentially just everything expands outwardly too much, and then space time, dark matter, everything just rips apart, and again, everything just dies.
Okay. There's another universe-ending theory. Oh, do you buy into any of those before I go?
I think either of them are just as likely because I don't understand quantum physics.
No, me neither. Do you know the long-term effects of the universe just being
What do you mean?
like
Increase in
nothing? There's no
entropy?
big crunch. There's no big rip. It's just the universe just keeps expanding, but there's not going to be any more materials for the universe to leave behind for stars.
Yeah,
So
it's
eventually,
all gonna go dark.
yes, and that is a terrifying thing to imagine.
New stars are still forming all the time, though, so
But eventually,
it's not gonna happen anytime soon.
no, not in our lifetime. Not in probably
Not
humans'
in
lifetime.
not in the human race's
No.
span.
But how terrifying is that? Just knowing that space is devoid of light and life. Everything is nothing.
Well, I'm sure some sort of engine somewhere is gonna keep spitting out stuff, and something's gonna continue to happen because as the universe continues to expand and get bigger, I think the entropy continues to increase. So there's more disorder, so there's more shit happening.
The boys down at the planet doing it. They're giving up the good fight.
Sure.
The space planet.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm giving up with this metaphor.
I don't think that was a good one at all.
Alright, you got any more before we go into your weird one?
Not really.
Not really. I think we've covered everything for the most part. Disease, I mean,
That would basically be the same thing
another
as
lame
other
one.
ones we have talked about.
Also not a fan because there's not much of a way out if it consumes the whole planet.
Well, you see, there's a way out. You just gotta have a great immune system. You know, your genes gotta be better than everybody else's genes. You gotta be better than the disease.
Sounds like my choice has been made for me, though.
Yep.
No getting
You
out.
see, what we're doing by sanitizing everything right now is creating even worse bacteria that are more immune to all this shit. So
Oh, yeah, and our
it's
immune
just
systems are not getting that good practice that they need with all the sanitization.
that too. And then, like, all the people that overuse antibiotics, when they finally need the antibiotics for actual diseases, they're not going to work because they have a tolerance.
Right. So I don't take no Advil, no Aleve.
Neither of those have anything to do with fighting diseases. Those are both just there to numb your brain.
Still relevant.
Not even a little relevant. They don't fight diseases. They're not creating super bacteria. That's not something we got to worry about.
I'm marking it, Noah.
What are you marking?
It.
No. You got to justify the shit out of your answers.
You ever watched, and probably not. I don't think you watched The Office.
Nope.
I
I
think
refuse.
there's I forget what it was, or maybe it's like a memo or something. Or no, it was flu season. And the boss has to come out and say, like, all right, everybody, we got to be, like, safe about sanitizing and making sure we're not spreading anything. And Dwight, like, raises his hand and he's talking about how he welcomes people to sneeze on him to build up his immune system because the rest of them are pretty much pussies.
Well, that's another bad way to go about it, but good for him.
Disease ain't a fun one, though.
Not a fun one. I don't think any of these are really fun ones, but like, they provide better opportunities than some other ones.
I'm down
Some it's like
for zombies.
definite extinction. Some is just like, hey, maybe I can live through that. Maybe that'll give me something to do. I'm a pretty bored guy.
I think I'm only down for zombies, though, if it's Walking Dead.
Any collapse of civilization's okay with me.
If they're running, though, I don't want to deal with that.
You just gotta really work on your cardio.
It sounds terrifying, though. Not the cardio part. That
Gotta get
partial
back in shape.
Sounds a little terrifying, but I thought about going for a run tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to go through with it.
Well,
Probably
I'm
won't.
waking up at 6:30 sharp
Just to run?
to run.
Alright. You
I
been
gotta,
keeping
like-
up on it?
Yeah, then I gotta like eat, shower, and go to work.
How far you been running?
I've just been doing 30 minutes. I don't know what the distance is.
Okay.
And up at 5 minutes every week, so.
What's your weird one, Noah?
Well, let me tell you. Are you familiar with the idea of panpsychism?
I am not.
Alright, so it's basically a mathematical prediction that anything that is complex has the ability to develop a conscious. So, as the universe expands and gets more complex, it's theorized that with complexity, it will develop a conscious. But I feel like it's already so complex that it kind of has a conscious already. So we're kind of just living on this sentient being, essentially. And at any point, it could decide just to walk off and do whatever the hell it wants. It'll
I
have
like
some
it.
sort of conscious thought, and it will do what it needs to do to help itself. And
I like
also, I feel like if complexity is what gives conscious, the Earth is pretty complex. It's a pretty complex ecosystem. It's got a lot of things working for it. I think at some point it could just decide that it doesn't like us anymore, turn itself into the happening, and make us all go kill ourselves.
I'll buy into that a little bit. I'm not out on that. I
I'm just
haven't read
thinking,
it.
man.
I haven't read it before, but the universe is like a turtle in that. Is that kind of what we're going on? Like the universe is a sentient being. It's
Not
a
at
turtle.
all.
No. Like I know you're
Well,
not
no,
saying the universe is a turtle, but like we're on the same page.
What you're talking about is the world is on a turtle, not that the universe is a turtle.
Okay, like I said, I didn't read it.
Because, like, what you're thinking of is, usually I think it goes, the world is on the back of a giant horse, which is on top of an elephant, which is on top of something else, and something else, then something else, and then they're all on top of a turtle, and then they ask, well, what's the turtle on top of? And then the answer is the turtle goes all the way down.
Alright, I'm not into that one, but I do like yours. It kind of flirts with being an apocalypse scenario. Like it just barely fits the definition because
Well,
it could happen.
It's the end of the world. And also, what do you mean it barely fits the definition? If it's the world ending, then that's the apocalypse, man.
But like if
The
the
four horsemen of the apocalypse.
if the thing don't move, we're good.
Well, it doesn't even have to be about moving. I'm thinking,
Or like
if the Earth has
self-command, I guess.
if the Earth has a conscious, it can decide what it wants to happen. It could influence its destiny in some way. Maybe it's trying to do that with some shit and like gives out a disease or kills all the bees because it doesn't want to deal with anything anymore. It's trying to kill us, and it should. We're shitty.
And it should. I can buy into that a little. Who
Tell
what
me.
was the original thing you started with? Who like said that?
It
Or is it just
panpsychism?
Yeah.
That is just not very well accepted theory by some doctors of quantum physics and mathematicians. It has a pretty small following, but those people that thought of it are well respected in other areas.
Okay. So it's not just the random wacko that said, "Hey,
No.
this is how I think it is."
It's theorized, it's doctor stuff. There's some
Okay.
intelligence behind it.
Gotcha. Oh man, I had something.
But yeah, that's the way I would like the world to end, is suddenly either the universe becomes obviously sentient or the Earth becomes obviously sentient and exerts its will upon us.
I like the original part though, Or you said if it just wants to get up and move, it can.
Yeah, if the universe just wants to take off, it's got infinite space. It's walking on sunshine. It's just going out there.
Thinking like we're a cell that's like, say it's on like the universe's foot or something. The universe is laying in the park. Gets up, we fall off. Say there's a scrape, we fall off. World's over. Our universe is over.
Yeah. And like in one of the articles I was reading, ordered a book on this just because I thought it was super interesting. In the article, it was like one like cell of an E. coli bacteria is more complex mathematically than a star in the solar system, or like Milky Way. Like one little cell here on Earth is more complex than a giant fucking star, and it's crazy.
So by that logic, is he saying maybe that since this little E. coli cell is that complex, shouldn't stars also be?
No, he's saying that stars are not complex at all. Like relative to an E. coli cell
Okay.
or microbe, they're super far off from each other.
There's something to buy into there. Is there any like evidence that they, I guess besides saying that complex things are sentient?
That's just a theory. Something I was reading, two rats, like, they hooked up their brains to see if, when they were working in unison, if they developed a new state of consciousness. They didn't really figure anything out from that test, but they're trying. They're trying to figure some things out.
Okay, as long as there's some groundwork being done on it.
Yeah. I think that test was done in, like, 2016. Didn't read anything more on it, but...
Okay, I'm glad they didn't abandon it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got anything else to add, or we're gonna leave it on that?
No, I think that's about all I got for apocalypse scenarios and end of the world type stuff.
Yeah, that's about all I had. What's that called again?
Panpsychism.
Panpsychism?
Panpsychism.
Might want to read into that more. I'm interested.
Yeah, it's a fun theory. I subscribe to it.
Okay. Flying spaghetti monster?
No, fuck that guy. However, that does go back to our Tulpa thing that we did in the paranormal episode. If enough people believe that it exists, it'll eventually exist.
Right. It'll come up in my feed every now and then, just kind of randomly. Like, it might not even be about the actual religion, it'll just be that image that they have. If you've been on their website, they claim that these, like, cartoon drawings are sightings.
Well, the whole thing started because the founder realized that it was so stupid to have a deity be your figure or whatever, and they were getting all these tax breaks and stuff, and he's just like, well, I'm going to start my own religion. That's ridiculous. And build up a huge following just to show that this is stupid. And then he got enough followers for it to be recognized as a real religion.
And he proved his point that it's stupid.
Yeah, and that he basically did, yeah.
Alright.
And on that last tangent, this has been Blindside Podcast. Episode 8, I think.
I think so. It's been 2 weeks.
We haven't done this in a while.
Yeah. I'm sure they were clamoring for more.
Yep.
Yo.
Even though I think all of our views are on our side series videos.
They really are. I think your Loneliest Places had like 20 views, and I think DLF Pass got like 17.
Yeah. Something like that. I haven't checked our analytics.
I think we're at 100 views now. Don't know if you get an email or... I know you don't get a plaque for that, but...
I don't think you get an email for that, because I didn't get one.
I didn't look, but... Imagine getting a plaque in the mail. Congrats on 100 views.
A solid gold plaque. Quite the milestone we've hit.
Alright. Outro music.
And outro music.